And welcome back to the Canon Factory, an elegant podcast from a more civilized age. I'm your host, Sean, and I'm joined by...
I'm Mike.
Adam.
Richie.
And this is Matt.
And we're going to keep going with last week's topic. No, we're not. Switching it up. I said we're going to start a whole thing about villains where we're going to do both. We're going to alternate back and forth. Last week we did a villain. Today we're going to do a light side character. A good guy, arguably, if you're the Empire, a bad guy. So if arguably we're still doing villains just from the Empire's point of view because... We're people of the people, you know.
Speaking
we want to
of,
represent
from a certain
everybody.
point of view.
Yeah, from a certain point of view, nothing matters. Anyway, let's talk about our good best friend, not the Cleveland Cavaliers, which Matt is watching a video about LeBron.
I'm not watching anything about
Ike
LeBron.
is our resident not watching a guy about LeBron.
I'm
guy.
your resident Ike.
Ooh, is that? Will you deny that one? Will that one stand? Our resident Ike. Oh, sweet. Got one.
So who are we talking about today?
We're gonna talk about Obi Wan Kenobi.
Thank you.
Adam, thanks for keeping us here. So
Great moves, Adam.
Obi-Wan, probably most people's favorite because logically he's gorgeous, he's great, he's gorgeous, and he's amazing.
He's so smart.
Did I mention he's handsome?
You know, it's really his hair.
Now, which do you like better? Do you like Attack of the Clones hair or do you like Revenge of the Sith hair?
I like it when he gets messy in his face in Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah.
It's good.
You notice
like
they put that into Clone Wars a few times?
Yes, they did.
Yeah.
You have to animate that crap, dude.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's pretty tough to beat the Attack of the Clones and mullet.
Can we talk about, speaking of good hair, talk about hot callus for a second?
Ooh, I'll take like
hot callus.
A slice or two of a hot callus.
Hot callus or... What would you say? Which Obi-Wan were we going for?
Revenge of the Sith.
Revenge of the Sith, Obi-Wan, or hot callus?
Who would win?
Who would win? I'd say one hot callus boy.
Ooh, one hot callus boy.
I'm in.
You guys don't know who hot callus is. Oh,
Best educate yourselves.
Well, no, we won't. Just for sake of spoilers.
Is he new this year? Is he season 4?
Did you Google hot callus?
No.
No, he's still watching the Cavaliers game. It's not even the game. It's the hype thing. He's just watching Tristan Thompson jump up and down right now.
Oh, my goodness.
Introducing, standing at 6'10",
Obi-Wan
lead singer
Kenobi.
of the Beach Boys, Kevin Love.
All right, so...
Yeah, this gives me ideas.
Whatever, bro.
All right.
Anyway, we're going to talk about Obi-Wan's path. We're not really going to do so much of the story because you guys know Obi-Wan's story for the most part. And the parts that you didn't maybe not know, we kind of talked about last week with Maul and his story. So if you didn't catch that, think of that as the episode 1 to this episode 2. So you want to keep on track? Go ahead and listen to that first and come on back here.
No, but this is Star Wars, so you're going to want to listen to this one first and then go back and listen to that one.
So we're going to...
So you should just listen to them in the normal order.
Right. Thanks, Matt, for once again.
That's what I'm here for.
Sean's going to give up.
Listen, some days
Sean,
I just...
don't give up.
All right, so Obi-Wan Kenobi. Let's talk about his path. Not like I'm going to reiterate this because I was denied what I was saying before. We're going to talk about not about so much about his story. Instead, talk about his character arc. So let's talk about some of the. Ike's rolling, man. I got him. I got him good. Richie, if I said Obi-Wan Kenobi, what do you think of?
Oh, man, it's tough to say because, I mean, I immediately think of the scene at the end of Revenge of the Sith.
Okay.
I think that's probably my favorite, like, Obi-Wan Kenobi moment. You were the chosen one.
You were my brother, Anakin.
Yeah, so that...
I loved you.
It's over.
Yeah, so that whole scene
Don't
is,
try
like,
it.
really powerful. And as much as I love Alec Guinness, when I think Obi-Wan, I think of Ewan McGregor.
Don't say that around Matt. We had a long argument about this a couple months ago.
And we will have it again.
We're not going to do it.
He just got... That was the fastest I've ever seen Matt move.
He grabbed his mic,
my gosh.
threw it to his mouth.
There was no NPR voice on that.
That was pure...
We'll have it again.
So, yeah.
Gosh.
as much as I love Alec Guinness, I personally like Ewan McGregor's, and it's mostly because of his performance in Revenge of the Sith. But yeah, so when I think of Obi-Wan, I think fiercely loyal. I think wise. Just there's a reason that he's so many people's favorite Star Wars character. And I think if I narrowed it down, I'd have to say he's probably mine out of everybody.
Oh.
Wow. You heard it here.
Yeah, just
Yeah. So
Yeah, I just said it. That's why you heard it.
Deal with it.
So yeah.
Cool.
I mean, I can't help but think of him when he's older.
Yeah.
New Hope. I mean, that's what I grew up
Adam,
with. What?
you're awesome.
Thank you. And I've always had a thing for. I'm looking forward to my day of gray hair. So I see a man, with
Which is
gray
like
hair.
not that far.
Yes.
I'm just messing.
Oh,
I'm just messing.
oh, come on.
Yikes.
Is this going to be another one of those episodes?
No,
we're gonna hold it
holding
together.
We're holding it in.
Oh, it's been one of these episodes for 9 months.
Matt, put the microphone
All
down.
right.
He picked up the microphone
Yeah.
to say it, and I beat him to it.
Put it down.
What is that? What are you?
Just.
No, keep it together. Keep it together.
I go.
Together.
Okay, so
We're good.
Obi-Wan, what do I think about him? I think he's great. I think he's fantastic. I think if I had to choose, Ewan McGregor just makes me happy.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, have you guys watched Long Way Round? Have you ever heard about it?
Oh,
It's
dude,
on
I
Netflix.
love Long Way Round.
He gets on a motorcycle, rides from London to
all the way across Russia.
to New York, all the way through Russia, which made me love him.
Yeah.
It's better if you just pretend that he's Obi-Wan the whole time.
I know, and that's what I felt like.
Well, he talks about it a lot.
He
talks
does.
about because that was actually filmed like around the same time as Revenge of the
Revenge
Sith.
of the Sith, yeah.
So he was finishing up Obi-Wan, and like so every time he would run into a fan, it would be like, "Oh, it's Obi Wan Kenobi," and yeah, it's really cool. And also, there's another one. I know this is not Star Wars related, but you should check it out if you like Ewan McGregor. There's a sequel to it called Long Way Down,
yeah.
where they go from London to South Africa.
He stops in Tatooine.
He does. He stops at Uncle Owen's house.
Yes.
So that's
And
very cool.
where, is that in Egypt or?
Oh,
It's North,
Tanzania?
it's North Africa.
I don't know.
I think it's
My,
North Tanzania. I don't know. I think it's in North Africa
Cool.
somewhere.
My,
yeah, it is.
But anyway, that and maybe I think I want to love Alec Guinness. He was my first experience, but I just really, really like Ewan McGregor.
Yeah.
Same.
My favorite non-Star Wars Ewan McGregor movie is The Impossible, which is the movie about the tsunami where he
I
plays.
haven't seen
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's super
That's really good.
intense.
That's
It's
good.
it's about the Thailand tsunami.
The Island is another good one,
Yeah.
which is actually like a pretty good Michael Bay film.
I don't think that sentence can work
Michael
together.
Bay made The Island.
Yeah, he did. Michael Bay. I'm just. We're not going to go down this trail, but he can sometimes make good movies.
I accept that.
And also Train Spotting.
For me, yeah, Obi Wan Kenobi is Ewan McGregor, absolutely. He's also Alec Guinness, but he's also Ewan McGregor.
Yeah.
And Obi Wan is just he's the everyman's relatable character, where he feels like he's the most down to earth and the most like he has his head on his shoulders. Everybody else you
Right.
can kind of find flaws with, like you have Mace Windu, who's clearly a little bit messed up in terms of his views of how things should be done. And Obi-Wan's kind of like, I know what's right, and I'm going to do it.
He's like the cornerstone, I feel like, of the Jedi.
Yeah.
He always has it together.
He's the halfway point between Qui-Gon and Yoda.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. So, if you want to expound on that a little bit, whereas
Sure.
Yeah, tell us what you mean by that.
Yeah.
I think I know what I
Yeah,
have
so
a
I
good
mean,
idea what you're trying to say, but
Qui-Gon is somebody who he gets in his head what's right, and he's going to do it no matter what. He's going to ask for permission, but if they say no, he's still going to do it. So
yeah, he does that multiple times.
Right. I mean, he does it with the training of Anakin. They tell him no, and he's like, all right, well, we're going to do it anyway.
Right.
And they're like, okay, because they're not going to kick him out because he's Qui-Gon Jinn, you know?
Right.
So, I mean, Qui-Gon he's a morally good character, of course, and I think that he saw, you know, as Anakin would put it, he saw through the lies of the Jedi.
Right.
But he really did see where their shortcomings were, and he acted on them no matter what.
Yeah.
Yoda was a purist through and through, a traditionalist, a real fundamentalist of the Jedi, where he would do exactly as what would be expected of the Jedi. He he believed in them fully, and he believed that they were the good in the universe.
Right.
Until he realized they weren't at the very end,
Right.
and he's realized how big of a mistake he's made, which is why he goes into exile.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was just about to say, like, to reconcile that with the Yoda that, in the original trilogy.
Right.
It's kind of, when you see that Yoda, you don't think of, like, strict fundamentalist.
Yeah.
You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good
So,
point.
I think Obi-Wan's in the
Do you
middle
guys
where.
really think Yoda's a strict fundamentalist?
All right. Well,
I think in the Clone Wars he is.
Yeah.
I think he'll do whatever is the Jedi code. I think it's.
yeah. I mean, show me an example where he doesn't do what
I think
the Jedi
it's.
code
I think
would
it's
say to do.
metaphorically party over country. There, you know what I'm saying? He's definitely Jedi over what's right.
Jedi over Republic.
Yes, Jedi over Republic. For all
Like
intents and
one
purposes.
time Yoda doesn't do the right thing.
Yes.
I don't think it's so
I mean,
much
not
that.
not the objectional right thing, but
The Clone Wars.
the Jedi thing.
Yeah, I don't
Like
think
one
it's
time in the Clone Wars when he didn't do.
I don't think
He
it's
doesn't
so
seem
much
like he
about
really
that.
questions the
It's
Clone
more
Wars.
about, and it may be
Oh,
fun.
you're saying the Clone Wars themselves?
Yes.
Oh, we can get into a long conversation.
Yeah,
on
when
this.
we have before on our chat.
Yeah.
I think maybe fundamentalist isn't the best word, but it's like the best one that we could think of.
Yeah, that's
But
like.
he's very.
He's-
I guess if you compare him to Qui-Gon, he's very much on the other end of the spectrum.
Because to be honest, I don't see that much difference between Obi-Wan and Yoda.
I
I
think
think. Go
Well,
ahead, Richie.
in terms of,
yeah,
I mean, they're definitely different characters, but in terms of they don't
their views on the Jedi.
their views on the Jedi. Yeah.
sure, but I do think that Obi-Wan is closer in the middle between the two. He's not quite as far. I don't want to say left or right.
I think.
'cause I don't want to make it that.
I think.
but
Satine is a perfect.
Yeah, we
example.
do see him break the rules
So
at least
he
once.
is willing to
Yeah.
break the rules.
exactly.
Well,
when I don't think Yoda would be willing
twice
to break
too,
the rules.
because in the comics, he knows that Anakin is debating leaving the Jedi,
Yes.
and Yoda says, "Well, if he leaves, we can't train him." And Obi-Wan's like, "That's why I'm going to leave too, to go train him."
So basically,
And Yoda's like, "You must do what you have to do."
right.
we're just saying
There's too
if
much
it-
Qui-Gon in you, is what he says.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
he does.
like that's a good example. If we're just saying that, if you think of Yoda and Qui-Gon as a spectrum, then Obi-Wan
Mhm.
is somewhere between them, in terms of his beliefs about the Jedi and like how he, acts those out. He's somewhere between the two, if
Yeah.
you think of it like that.
Okay.
So, which
So
is
back-
which is really important.
Yeah, it is.
It's
Right.
important
Yeah.
to
It is.
understanding Obi-Wan.
So back
Yeah.
to back. Let's back out to what Sean was going back. Bring us back, Sean.
What was I going back to?
I don't know. You were leading us, and we derailed.
Oh, sure. I don't think we derailed. But yeah, I mean, we're just talking about Obi-Wan as a character, and
Or at least remind me, because I don't remember where we were.
sure, I saw you had your laughing fit, so we're here.
I was.
Still on your hot callus path.
Yes.
No, I mean, we're just talking about like what you think him as a character brought to the galaxy and
Right.
the Star Wars universe, and maybe on the flip side, how we were comparing Maul to Kylo at the end. What's some things in Obi-Wan that you see maybe Rey going down towards?
Is there a reason that you're drawing the correlation between Obi-Wan and Rey? You're saying?
It's not. No,
Trying to-
I don't want to bring any.
Can
Rey.
I put the tag in the YouTube video as speculatory Rey parentage? Is that
I don't want you to say that this episode is called Rey Kenobi.
okay? Just
So.
making sure.
No, I just as characters in the same movie sequence.
Let's
Yeah,
call it that because
that's-
we'll probably get more.
Well,
views.
here's what I would say. That's a great question, Sean.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to kind of deconstruct Rey in my mind because
Sure.
I think I have a really good view of Obi-Wan's motivation.
Yeah.
And I think if we were playing a role playing game right now, and you were like role play Obi-Wan,
Right.
and you threw me into a scenario, I feel like I would have a pretty good handle about how Obi-Wan. I could get a pretty good idea of what Obi-Wan would do in that scenario. I think if I did the same with Rey, you were like, hey Ike, Rey's in this crazy scenario, what do you think she does? I don't feel like I could get a good idea. I think at first I could, like, Rey seems to be motivated by her love for figuring out who her parentage is.
Right.
And then it turns into a love for her friends. But these moments that she's kind of like shows this anger at the end of The Force Awakens, where she's kind of emotionally conflicted to the point of anger.
Right.
I don't really see that in Obi-Wan.
I think Rey
Yeah.
is much more similar
So-
to Luke than Obi-Wan.
Yeah. I guess that's eventually where I'm going with that
Right.
long-winded explanation.
yeah.
So I'm trying to think of like...
I'm not saying that they're direct, similar in all ways,
Yeah.
but I'm just saying in what ways are they similar?
I would say she, minus the one little slip up when she's fighting Kylo, she is way more in control of her emotions than any Skywalker we've seen so far,
Absolutely.
which is more of a Kenobi
Right.
attribute
And
to
I
kind
would
of be in control of who you are and know who you are. When they're like, "Do you want to leave?" She's like, "No, I want to go do what I was doing, where I was, what I was doing, because I know who I am. I want to stay on Jakku. I want
Right.
to go back to Jakku
Yeah.
because this is who I am."
But wait.
Hit me.
Why does she want to stay on Jakku?
She wants to stay on Jakku
Because she believes
that's
her
her
parents are coming back.
Because she thinks her parents are back.
right.
Why do Luke and Anakin do everything?
Well,
Luke goes and joins the Resistance because he's got nothing left.
I'm just saying the similarities
The
are
relationships.
I feel like Luke and Anakin the whole time don't know who they are as a person. They don't know who they are.
They
Their
do.
ident-
They're very relationship driven.
I think they are not defined
they're
by
not,
who they are.
They're
They're
not
defined by
driven.
their
They're
friends.
dependent.
They're defined by their
Dependent
friends.
might
They're
be-
not
they're
defined by
def-
themselves.
Right, they're defined by that. I think you're right.
Right,
But
and I
I
feel
would
like
argue
Rey-
that Rey is defined by her parents, just as they're defined by. Now she grows maybe out of that. Well, I don't know.
Right, we
Maybe.
don't know yet.
We don't know if she will.
Do you see the point I'm trying to make? I understand your rebuttal, and I'm saying ultimately that I think I agree with you. I think I can
think
see
you do
more
too.
relationship with Luke than I do Obi-Wan, minus like some like a lot of people who like the Rey Kenobi theory. What all do they point out? I'm drunk.
Right. Well, while I agree with you guys that she relates more to Skywalkers, that's not our debate.
It isn't. That's
just-
why I was trying to do that, and Matt's like, "Oh, that's good, Luke Skywalker."
Right.
But it's fun, and
Right,
and
so-
people like this stuff.
Yeah, they do.
That's
And
true.
people like dessert, but you can't have it till after dinner, Matt.
You can have dessert all day long if you're an adult.
This
This
is
is
America.
America. Got him.
Oh, Sean is rolling his eyes.
I'm not rolling my eyes.
You're
I'm
not
staring like straight into the sky, like saying, "Am I in my coffin right now?" I'm not sure.
So
No, I was gonna say that I feel like the beginning of Rey's story and the end of Obi-Wan's are very similar to me, because you have Obi-Wan
are they both
stuck
dying
on
in a
this.
lightsaber battle to Darth Vader?
I mean,
He didn't die.
not the exact last moment. I'm saying like towards the end of his life.
Gotcha.
God, I'm coming so close.
Just know if you make any comparison, then it's going to be picked apart.
We're gonna debate about it.
We're
No,
gonna
that's
debate
fine.
about
I just
it.
would like to talk.
Oh, Sean, would you like to talk? Please take the floor.
So, towards the end of Obi-Wan's life, for a good 19 years, he's stuck on a desert planet to protect someone who's essentially family to him. And for Rey's, her first, 19 years, is stuck on a desert planet waiting for her family. So it's just the end of his life and the beginning of her life are similar in that way. And they don't lose their minds, which is incredibly impressive. It's also impressive is me trying to stay on track while I'm dealing with the looks I'm getting.
Do you
Most
know who
impressive.
else was on that planet for 18 years?
Luke Skywalker.
Dun, 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 dun.
All right, so that's going to be it for me, guys. I'm going to kick it over to Matt, who's our new host. I hope you guys enjoy.
KMS. All right, so I guess so we started off with a Obi-Wan dissection, and we've ended on basically a Rey dissection. So, no, but back to it. I'm going to try to bring us back, Sean. You can plug your headphones. He's unplugged his headphones. He's probably watching a Cavaliers game, would be my guess. Oh, I got a smile. Look at that. Oh, headphones are out. Oh, he's coming back.
No, I
Hello.
wasn't listening to you. I'm watching a video. Sorry.
Okay, so we're watching those hot callus memes. So, we're at Obi-Wan. Back to Obi-Wan. We got this character arc. What things, we've picked on Rey a little bit. What other things about an Obi-Wan arc do you think could somehow, those themes that are in the character development of Obi-Wan that we could potentially see in the Skywalker saga currently?
I mean, the obvious, I guess, analogy would be Luke right now, maybe. Maybe not so much to Rey, but I think that's the obvious jump that people are going to make is, Luke is the new Obi-Wan character. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
So,
That makes sense. He's the old sage of the,
yeah.
The thing about Obi-Wan is that he always has a plan.
Oh, all right.
I mean,
I like your plan to derail the podcast. Yeah.
well, it's not really a plan. It just kind of happens. It's more like a Luke thing.
Sure. Uh-huh.
Less like an Obi-Wan
And-
thing,
yeah,
more
it's
like a
more
Luke
of
thing.
an Anakin thing. The Obi-Wan always has a plan. I mean, even from
That's
New
the
Hope.
chosen one of the podcast, apparently.
he knows exactly what to do. He's got a plan. He's gonna go and disable the tractor beam, and they're gonna get off the ship.
Yeah, we see that all through the Clone Wars.
You see that all through the Clone Wars. He's always the
They
one.
really play up the disconnect
smart he
between
is.
Anakin and Obi-Wan.
Right.
That Obi-Wan is the super planned. He knows what he's going to do. He's got an A, B, and a C. They even say that sometimes. And Anakin's B is fly by the seat of your pants.
Right.
Right.
And even like in their fight, if you sit down and dissect it in episode 3, Anakin is like brute force. Let's do this, and
Crazy all over the place,
Right.
flipping, doing stuff.
And Obi-Wan is constantly
Cool, calm, collected.
like baiting him into dangerous situations and fighting with his brain. And eventually, that's how he wins. Right.
Right.
I have the high ground. It's over.
Yep.
That's how he wins. He wins.
I put myself
He
in a better
wins
situation.
with his mind.
Yep.
Right. So I don't know who that character is in the new movie. I don't know who the smart one is. Who the person with the plan is yet. I don't know if there was one in
The Porg.
Yeah, I don't know. I would like to see another character like that. I think that's something that makes Obi-Wan really interesting because you watch him and you're thinking he's got something up his sleeve.
That's
He's
why I was
always got
saying.
something.
That's what I was saying earlier. He is the cornerstone of the Jedi.
Yeah.
He is very true, very faithful.
I hope we haven't
You
lost
know
that.
where he's going to be. You know what he's going to do. That's why I was saying too. If you put me in an RPG game, I could tell you what Obi-Wan's going to do. I couldn't tell you what Rey's going to do. I couldn't tell you who anybody. I like. He's just the person that I feel like is the most predictable in a good way. Like it's as a positive trait. Man, Obi-Wan would be a good friend, guys. Can we just
he
talk
would
about
be.
how good of a friend he would be?
Be kind of like our friend Sean.
Yeah, he'd be like maybe a good friend, Sean. He'd be true and faithful to the podcast. Less like the chosen one, Matt, that would derail it with his.
Sean always has a plan.
He does. He even tries to stick to it. But then we have the Anakin over here who's trying to derail it. Look at us, guys. There's a story in here. Look at us.
It's like poetry.
Come on, it
is.
rhymes.
It rhymes.
Just bring it in. You know you want to, Sean. Bring it back, Sean. Come on, Sean.
Sean, please come back.
Sean, please take the high ground.
Yeah,
I beg
so
you.
like what I was saying about Obi-Wan.
Sean, please get the high ground. Take it. It's yours.
No, yeah, I think as I was listening to you guys and trying to understand what you're saying, I think that Obi-Wan, that kind of character you're saying, that where he has his specific motivations and what he wants to do, and is going to do those things, it actually kind of reminds me of Kylo Ren and who he is. Not so much the path that he's taken, but where he is now. Like the Kylo Ren that we see in the First Order, he has his goals, and he goes and he does them.
Ooh, I haven't thought of that. That's actually really interesting.
I was also thinking about the
Because, his name's Ben, too.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's a good point. I was also thinking about the potential for Snoke seems to have a plan. He seems to know what he's doing.
Yeah, Snoke, I mean,
But is that
When it
just
comes
kind of
to
like
that.
a,
it's
is
Sidious,
that just
though.
kind of a
It's
dark
just kind of
side?
a generic.
Yeah, and it may also
villain.
be the metaphorical in the dark that we are. Like, we don't really know much about him, too.
Right.
He could, I'm just saying, he could potentially show himself as a very planned, cunning character.
But that is like
But that's more of, then people would just draw the connection that he's more of a Sidious. too.
for as much as for as much as Kylo Ren wants to be.
That's a
like
really good point,
Anakin,
by the way, Sean. Sorry.
Yeah, for as much as he
Thank you.
wants to be like Anakin, he's not a fly by the seat of your pants kind of
Right.
character. Or at least not in Force Awakens. I feel like we haven't seen maybe enough of him to know for sure. But
Yeah, I mean, it seems like he even planned to kill his dad. That was
No, yeah.
He made the decision emotionally, but it wasn't an emotional decision. Does that make sense?
Right.
He was definitely in emotional strain.
I
but
think that-
he planned it. He knew what he was doing and he planned it.
Yeah, I think he's a very emotional person, but he's done a really good job at learning how to rein those emotions in and use them to drive his motivations, but not to derail his motivations.
yeah, he's definitely like his granddad in that way. He has his outbursts.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even he is more. I feel like what's interesting too, and maybe this is something a realization that I've come into, that Anakin, when he becomes Darth Vader, becomes more Obi-Wan like.
Yeah.
Right, it's
He
much more
becomes
matter of
cool,
fact.
calm, collected. That like
does.
that terror, evil guy, as he is always knows what he's doing.
Obi-Wan
He's
would
got
be a
his plan.
terrifying villain.
What's that?
Obi-Wan would be
would
a terrifying
a
villain.
really terrifying villain.
Yeah.
But he almost becomes more. Anakin almost becomes more Obi-Wan like with his turn to the dark side.
Yeah, it's like a completely different
Yeah,
character.
that's why I was drawing that back to what you're saying about Kylo,
Right.
because with the exception of his outbursts where he's slashing walls and
Because
slashing,
it's so much easier. There's so few people like Obi-Wan on the light side, because to live the way that he truly lives is to have no attachments and to not use that for evil. Like, how many good people do you know out there? Those are like your monks, your nuns of the society.
Right.
So he's truly this person who has no real emotional driving forces in his life, so which allows him to live his life according to the letter of the law. Whereas, take that from the dark side, you can have those emotions and those feelings and not feel guilty about them.
Yeah.
So you can use those in a healthy way to do your unhealthy things.
Right.
So
You know what I really want to hear?
what's that?
I don't say this to garner likes and comments. I really want to hear our communities. I would be really interested in what our community has to say about this.
About just Obi-Wan and
About Obi-Wan and the potential connection that he could have with his arc into
yeah.
the further movies. And I don't mean like who's going to be related to him, because
Right.
that's what the YouTube garbage kind of wants to spout the speculation.
The main
but-
Force ghost that we know exists is Obi-Wan.
Right.
And we've seen him already talk to Rey. It'd be interesting if he talked to Kylo
Yeah. That'd be really interesting.
and what he'd have to say to him.
But
Would they do that? Because would they have him talk to Rey? Well, I guess they could do Ewan McGregor's voice.
Right. They just do
Yeah.
Ewan.
I
Or
mean, they
Steven
did that.
Stanton, because he was really good.
they did that in Return of the Jedi. They threw in Caden Christensen.
Right.
Right.
Actually, this is probably a good time to ask about this, but it's confirmed that we have Kenobi movies coming, right?
I don't think
it got real close to being confirmed, and then just
It died.
just dropped out of nowhere.
Yeah.
So
They were
Interesting.
basically
Someone
saying
was
that it
killed.
was all but confirmed.
Okay.
Like
Right.
there was like a week there where like everyone was. Some news station dropped that it was confirmed from someone inside,
Right.
but Lucasfilm hadn't come out and said
they
it.
never made a statement on
Yeah.
it. So
Interesting.
Let's do 2 minutes of what do you want to see in that movie?
Okay.
the opening credits to know that it exists.
Yeah.
As a
For
Matt,
a movie.
how's
I
that
wanna
for a
see-
Matt
That's
I
the
wanna
most
see
Matt
Ewan
answer you've ever
McGregor.
done.
Yeah, how's it feel?
I want to see Ewan McGregor.
Feels good
Ugh.
to be emulated.
I want to see Ewan McGregor.
Yeah, Ewan will be in it.
Well, yeah.
I want to see Vistas. I want to see lightsabers.
I wanna
wanna
see-
What time frame do you want to see?
Well, it's gonna have to be between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope, because Ewan's aged, and that's just kind of.
Right.
Oh, so you think they don't have an option of going back, basically?
I mean,
It'd be
I guess they
difficult.
could do a before the Phantom Menace with a different actor.
But no, we don't want that.
Or
We
they
want
could-
Ewan
That'd be
McGregor.
weird.
I mean,
That'd
they
be like, what's the point? Like yeah, it'd be the same thing as the Han Solo movie. Like, what's the point? But
We don't need teenage high school.
which actually
Obi-Wan.
means that they might do it.
Is
so.
it possible they
Right.
could go back before 3?
I don't think so. I mean, we've
Mhm.
seen the Clone Wars, the TV show, and
Yeah.
that
Right,
kind of
they've
cleans
kinda-
all that up.
yeah.
There's not a whole lot of space for movement in there.
Well, I'm sure there is, but there's more space
But
other
what's
places.
the point?
and
Like,
there's what's the point?
and that's my
A lot of that
thing.
story's
It's like
been
with this story, I love Ewan McGregor, I love Obi Wan Kenobi, but I want to see a meaningful story. Is
Right.
what I want to see.
I think it would have to be during that time frame, but they would obviously have to treat it.
between 3 and 4.
Yes, but they'd obviously have to treat that with a lot of care because you
Right.
don't want it to look like he was disregarding Luke. You
Yeah.
know? You'd have to give him a really good reason.
And I
to
mean,
leave.
it's pretty clear that it's obvious that Obi-Wan never trains Luke, so we can't
Right.
see that.
So from the comics too, the other thing that they're really playing up right now is one, Darth Vader hunting people,
Right.
and they're also doing that in Rebels. That they're hunting Jedi sensitive people,
Right.
And so this just dropped last week, last Wednesday with the comic. They were listing names of people that were alive,
Yeah.
and Ben Kenobi's listed on there.
Interesting.
So they know he's alive,
Right.
and
One-
Yoda's on there too.
One thing that I mean, they've done, I feel like, with the anthology series is try to answer the
Questions.
supposed plot holes. Like, oh, how did they blow up the Death Star? I just
Right.
happened to have a...
Or like, the most mysterious backstory of a character that we've ever had, maybe in movie history. Let's try to answer some of that.
Right. So one of the
You're not upset.
possible questions is how in the world did Darth Vader not go check out Tatooine to make sure that, how
How
did
you
he-
looked around, there's a lot of sand,
It does get everywhere.
and it's rough.
He
and
doesn't
it's
like
coarse.
sand.
It's rough and it's
That's a
coarse,
good
dude.
point.
Man, I hate the beach because of that.
Man, I love the beach.
But they could potentially do some sort of...
Yeah.
They could make him leave the planet to protect
Right,
Luke.
which is what I'm saying. So
Yeah.
there's a good chance you could throw Darth Vader in hunting him, and they've also been searching out in the comics what he was doing there.
But they can't meet if they did that, because his line in A New Hope, it's like Vader's like, all right, this is like my first time seeing you, and
Yeah.
he's like,
Oh, yeah, they
when we last met, I was but the learner. Now I am the master.
They definitely couldn't
Right.
meet. I agree.
Right.
It would be really cool, I think, if it picked up right at 3, like right at 3.
Oh,
Like,
Well-
here's me handing off Luke.
Luke. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Like,
And just it
right
starts
there.
off with Trent Reznor's "I Hurt Myself Today."
So like a Logan.
Exactly. It should
I
be,
really
it
think
should be a Logan
there
film.
should be a Nickelback song.
And I think that's all we got time for today. So I want to thank you guys for joining us on the Canon Factory. We are like 30 some odd days away from The Last Jedi. Keep it up. We're almost there. Keep the faith. We're pushing through. Just go ahead and always shoot us your questions on Twitter.
Yeah, hit us up with that.
You can comment on our
hit us
YouTube
up.
videos or whatever you want to do. We're really interested in what you guys want to hear, have us talk about. If this is something that you're interested in as far as the character arcs and how they could reflect with The Last Jedi, let us know, and we'll keep them going. But thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.